Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of Persephone by Kaitlin Bevis. This is the retelling of the Hades and Persephone myth. In this story, Persephone is a high school girl who discovers that she is a goddess and that her mother is a goddess and that she is a part of the whole pantheon, and she gets whisked away to the underworld to actually hide from Boreas, who is a winter god. So first off, I've talked about before that I have problems with a lot of Hades and Persephone retellings, that they are either too literal or that they don't capture the essence of the gods. A lot of times in Hades and Persephone retellings, Persephone is like a kind of meek, mild, unassuming character, and that is so not true. So I was really pleasantly surprised by this retelling. In this retelling, there is some elements of the Hades Persephone myth that are kept kind of close to the original, and there's some elements that are different. All of the characters have the same name, so in a lot of retellings you'll have characters have different names, but all the characters and the gods in here have the same names. So Zeus, Hades, Persephone, all of them are all the same names, which I kind of like actually, because a lot of times when I know they're just being swapped out for different names, it's kind of annoying to me, so I liked that this was a very kind of direct retelling in that way. I also liked the change in here about why Persephone was whisked away to the underworld, and I enjoyed that element of it being a little different. It's not Hades versus her mom, it's this kind of group effort type thing going on in this book, which I really enjoyed, so it made it a lot less kind of creepy, because if you do take the myth literally, it can read creepy and, rapey. But in this case, it's not. And there are different interpretations of the myth, which I'm not even going to get into right now, but I tend to lean on the side of the different interpretations of the myth, so I enjoyed that this had that kind of element to it as well. As far as the world building, I really liked how the world building was done in this. As far as the underworld, I thought it was very cool. I just like, in Hades and Persephone retelling, seeing how different authors depict the underworld and how it works, and I really liked how it was done in this one. A lot of times the underworld is depicted as the Christian form of hell, or as like an underground cave-like area, and you can do so much with the depiction of the underworld, and this one they did, and I liked that. I liked that it seemed like it was another place to live where people are kind of continuing on in their lives even though they are dead, so that was a really cool element that I enjoyed. As far as the characters, like I said, a lot of the characters keep the same names, and they also keep their same characteristics. So we have Hades being a very stoic but not a cruel person. Again, Hades is not the same thing as the Christian form of Satan, even though a lot of times in our media he is depicted that way. Hades is actually one of the more chill gods, to be honest. He's monogamous, he's not a jerk, he's not going around cursing people. If he does anything to somebody, it's because it's like for a just reason. So Hades is depicted pretty well in here, but he's not overly brooding or anything. And Persephone is also depicted really well as well, because she has a bit of fire to her. She doesn't just back down, she definitely goes up against him a lot of times. It is kind of like getting in people's faces and, being a little bit more of a firecracker, and that's exactly how Persephone is. Persephone is the boss of the underworld, okay? Like, Persephone runs the show. Persephone in myth is like very scary to people, and they don't even want to say her name. Or like Hades was fine, people were okay with like talking about Hades back in like ancient culture, but Persephone was feared. So the fact that this younger version of herself is being depicted as somebody who has the potential to be very powerful is awesome. I really enjoyed that. As far as the plot, as you can see, this is a fairly short book. There were some elements of the plot that I feel like were a little bit rushed. I think that a lot of things could have been fleshed out a little more. I would have liked it. And there is an element sort of insta-love. With Hades and Persephone, I don't really care if there was like an insta-love element, because it's kind of like, in my opinion, they're like fated, they're destined, so if they don't have this like slow burn thing, I'm totally fine with it. So the fact that they were kind of having this very instant connection, again, they don't jump into like a relationship or anything like instantly, but the fact that they were very much drawn to each other from the get-go, I'm totally okay with that in this instance and this retelling, because that's what you go into it for, so I'm totally okay with that. But there were some elements of, especially the ending, where I felt like it was very rushed, and I would have liked it to be a little bit more fleshed out. This is a series. I think there are, oh man, I think there's over 3 books. I think it's more than a trilogy. So I'm interested to read the rest of the books in the series, and I think a lot of stuff will get fleshed out more, but again, these are just shorter books, and I went into it kind of knowing that it might not be as fleshed out as I would have liked it to be, but I was totally fine with that. So all things considered, I really enjoyed this retelling. It lived up to a lot of different expectations as far as what I wanted, especially out of how the characters develop and how they act in their personalities. So there are certain things when I go into Hades and Persephone retelling that I want to see, and their personalities is the biggest one. So the fact that this one definitely hit their personalities, in my opinion, made it so that I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. So comment down below and let me know if you have read Persephone and what you thought of it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!